Can Nick Walker win the 2026 Arnold Classic? Dennis James talks to Derek Lunsford. Setting the scene, the 2026 Arnold Classic hype. The Arnold Classic, part of the annual Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio, is one of the most prestigious events in professional bodybuilding. Traditionally held in late February or early March, the competition draws elite athletes from around the world and often gives a hint of who's peaking ahead of the Mr. Olympia later in the year. As the 2026 edition approaches, talk around the sport has intensified, and one of the focal points is Nick the Mutant Walker, a fan favorite and freak physique phenom whose career has had its high points and hiccups. Competing against him in conversation is Derek Lunsford, a two-time Mr. Olympia champion and former Arnold Classic winner, a standard against which many competitors are now measured. Recently, on the Menace podcast, hosted by Dennis James, Walker's chances at the 2026 Arnold were dissected by James and guests. Part of the discussion involved quotes that circulated, like, "If the other guys are off, yeah, he could win. Nick has to bring his Pittsburgh look and those other guys have to be a little bit off. When I said the other guys are off, I mean like they don't have to show up fat. I just don't think Hottie is going to be that far off though." These comments capture both optimism and realism, and mark a broader narrative arc in Walker's career and bodybuilding's highly competitive open-class landscape. A close look at the conversation. 1. The possibility factor, if others are off. Dennis James' commentary centered around the idea that Nick Walker does have a shot at the title, but it hinges on multiple variables. Walker needs to bring a fully realized peak physique, reminiscent of his best days at previous Arnold Classics. His rivals must not only miss their best but fall short of near-peak form on competition night, not necessarily to a dramatic degree, but enough to swing judging comparisons. This is what James meant by others being off. James' language suggests that bodybuilding, especially at the Arnold Classic level, is as much about peaking at the right moment as it is about raw size or muscularity. If Walker hits his absolute best and others don't, he could theoretically defeat the top contenders. 2. What off really means. When Dennis James mentions others being off, he clarifies that he doesn't mean extremely out of shape or visibly poor, just not at their optimal condition. This nuance is important. Big names like Hottie Chupin, Derek Lunsford, Martin Fitzwater, and others all bring imposing mass, cut, and conditioning on their best days. For Nick to win, he would likely need them to be a bit under par relative to their own best. That doesn't mean they're bad, but merely not at their most competitive. This ties back to the judging subjectivity in bodybuilding, where comparisons and stage presence matter as much as raw muscle mass. Standing next to a slightly sharper or more balanced package can tilt the scales even if numbers on paper look similar. 3. Hottie Chupin and the conditioning factor. One name James referenced indirectly, calling him Hottie, is widely understood in context to be Hottie Chupin, the 2024 Arnold Classic winner and perennial contender. Chupin is known for his phenomenal conditioning, grainy muscle, and detailed separation. Dennis James essentially predicts that Chupin is unlikely to be significantly off his best come show day, setting a high standard for competition. For Walker, who has historically been lauded for freak size and explosive muscle bellies, meeting that standard consistently has sometimes been a challenge, particularly in comparison to the very leanest athletes. Nick Walker's form, momentum and recent history. Recent competitive wear. Nick Walker's 2025 competitive season was a tapestry of ups and downs. He returned to competition strongly at Pittsburgh Pro and then captured his third New York Pro title, securing Mr. Olympia qualification. But at the 2025 Mr. Olympia, he placed 6th, disappointing many fans due to a conditioning miss relative to expectations. Despite that, Walker has publicly stated he's working hard on his 2026 Arnold Classic prep, shedding extraneous weight and focusing on delivering a more polished package. His goal is clear: win the Arnold. This self-directed prep, with no coach and his mom shooting progress photos, suggests he's taking a personalized, accountability-driven approach toward peak conditioning and improvement. The competition, who Walker would need to beat. Hottie Chupin. Chupin, if he competes, is a conditioning monster and one of the sport's most consistent Arnold performers. His look generally combines density with separation, often putting him in the upper echelon of any open lineup. James' prediction that Chupin might not be that far off his best highlights how unpredictable the show can be, but also hints at how tough it would be for Walker if Chupin delivers a textbook peak. Derek Lunsford. Lunsford himself is a formidable presence, a former Arnold Classic winner and multiple-time Olympia champion. His strength lies in size, balance, symmetry, and an ability to bring credible conditioning on demand. Though the exact quote from Derek in this particular conversation isn't publicly documented in the searches we reviewed, Lunsford's body of work makes him one of the most logical favorites. He has won the Arnold Classic before and knows what judges reward in Columbus. Other contenders, the New Age beasts. Other athletes like Martin Fitzwater, Andrew Jacked, or even surprise entries could play spoiler. These guys bring size, maturity, and fresh conditioning, and none can be discounted, especially if someone like Chupin or Lunsford underpeaks. What this all means for the 2026 Arnold Classic. 1. Walker's window still open. Nick Walker is still very much in the discussion, which is notable given how quickly narratives can shift after a single competition. The panel's willingness to entertain his shot shows respect for his unique physical attributes, and the fact that, when dialed in, he's capable of disrupting the top tier. 2. Consistency equals key. Dennis James' framing suggests consistency, bringing your best look on the night, is the primary determinant. For Walker, it's not enough to be a freak, he has to put together a balanced, dry, cut package that matches or exceeds what his rivals bring. 3. Competition is deep and subjective. Bodybuilding results always mix objective forms, size, separation, balance, with subjective judging panels. If the key names bring their A game, the contest will likely reflect that reality. But the nature of bodybuilding is such that one slight misspeak can tilt multiple comparisons. Conclusion. In the debate between Dennis James and Derek Lunsford about Nick Walker's chances at the 2026 Arnold Classic, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. Rather, it's a nuanced sport analysis built on Walker's historical highs and recent challenges, including an underwhelming 2025 Olympia showing. The quality and consistency of the field, Chupin, Lunsford, and others. Muscle and fitness. The judgment that Walker's best path to victory requires peak condition and just slightly underwhelming performances from his rivals. In short, yes, Nick Walker could win the Arnold Classic 2026, but the stars have to align, both with his conditioning and the comparative performance of his competitors. That's the heart of what Dennis James and others are really debating, not just Walker's potential, but the probability in the context of elite-level professional bodybuilding.